y'all, you know I sure is hungry. Now this is my version. Yes, me, my version of chicken parmesan. So you'll see me just cutting the breast in half. I'm gonna start patting them, flatten them out, get them a little thinner than they actually are because you know when you cook chicken, it kind of plumps up a little bit. So I want to get them as thin as possible, also without breaking and tearing the chicken all up. But a little backstory on my chicken parmesan. When I first ever ordered chicken parmesan from the store, well, I guess you could say restaurant, in my mind, I'm thinking some chicken with some parmesan cheese on top and some Alfredo sauce. I guess I was looking for chicken Alfredo, I guess. But when they brought it to me, it had this red sauce on it. And it had spaghetti noodles with spaghetti sauce on it. And I was like, excuse me, ma'am. I did not order this. And she said, yes, you did. You ordered the chicken parmesan, right? I said, yes, this is what this is. And I was appalled. Like, how dare y'all put spaghetti sauce on my chicken? On my fried chicken at that. And spaghetti noodles. I didn't ask for chicken spaghetti. I asked for chicken parmesan. So, long story short, I was a little upset. That was about 12 years ago when I first ever ordered my own chicken parmesan. Growing up in New York, we don't really eat restaurant food that much because we could go to the corner store and get the best meal, breakfast. Yes, I said breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So we really didn't eat out that much. So this is why I do mine this way. I used to put red sauce on the chicken only, then I stopped. I'm going to give you the detailed measurements of all the seasonings and my details below. Just click on the down arrow and you'll be able to see the details. I know you're looking and you're saying, wow, that is a lot of seasoning. And it's not. I had 3 large chicken breasts that I cut in half and I flattened. I'm going to dip this in some flour and then I'm going to dip it into some egg, and then I'm going to dip it into some breadcrumbs. So most of the seasons are going to fall off with the flour a little bit, and then the egg mixture, you're going to have some of the seasons. That's why I kind of, depending on what it is, I kind of over season my food because I know the way I cook it, it might fall off, i.e. when I bake my chicken, I know the seasoning falls off because of the juices of the chicken. When I'm seasoning my food and putting it in buttermilk, most, if not all, the seasoning's gonna fall off into the buttermilk. So this is why you might see like, damn, that's a lot of seasoning for that little bit of chicken. It's not. Trust me, these were not salty, not even a little bit. You might even want to add some salt to the top when you're done with it. That's all you. But to me and my kids, it was not salty. I didn't really season the flour and breadcrumbs too much. I just put a little bit Italian seasoning on the breadcrumbs, and for the flour, I just put a little bit of salt and pepper. I didn't want to, go too crazy with the seasonings. I cracked 2 apparently jumbo eggs. I went to the store to get large eggs. I just grabbed the first thing I saw, got home, was like, dang, these some big old eggs. And I'm like, what? Look at the box. It said jumbo. I said, well, it actually happened to be enough eggs. I had to actually add some more breadcrumbs to coat the chicken in later on. But this is pretty much enough. I think I used a cup of flour. You don't need too much because you don't want to have too much left over. I'm trying to get away from wasting food, even this seasoning food or wasting, the things that I put my food on top of. I just adjusted my camera. I'm trying to get better at these angles. I am so sorry that the angles might look a little messed up. I'm still learning how to work my camera. I need to get a new one already because this is not really a video recorder. It's more so of a camera. I need one of those that faces like the front like a phone so I can see what I'm looking at. So this easy part, you just dip it in the flour, dip it in the egg, and then you dip it into the breadcrumbs. And the breadcrumbs, you pat it down. You pat it so you get as much breadcrumbs on there as possible. With the flour, you just kind of dip it. You can shake the excess off. Make sure it's completely covered in egg. There's some people like, oh, you use one hand to dip, one hand, one wet hand, one dry hand. I use these small bowls. I don't know why. I should have just used paper plates like I usually do. But I use these small bowls because it's kind of hard for me to do that. So I did it for all the chicken. For the oil, you could use vegetable oil, canola oil. I think I used vegetable for this. I got it hot, about 350. I didn't completely fill the pan. I don't want to. I don't want to deep fry these. I want to just pan fry them the regular old school way. I think I fried them on each side. They were kind of thick chicken breasts. Even when you flatten them down, they were still thick. So I think I did mine for about 4 minutes each side. You can, depending on how thick your chicken breast is, I say about 2, 3 minutes because you're also going to put these in the oven to let the cheese and the sauce cook on top of it. So you don't want to overcook these. And plus, if you flatten them down enough, they're going to be, don't worry about all that moving. If you flatten them down enough, they're going to be pretty thin. Like I said, mine were pretty much on the thick side because I don't like my mallet that I have. My mallet that I have, it has the little grooves on the end, and I cannot stand it because the grooves tear the chicken up. I don't like it. I need to get one of those flat mallet hammers for meat so I can just beat the meat, beat the meat smooth without putting holes into it and messing it up completely. So that's why I use the rolling pin instead of my regular meat hammer. So I just do this. You see the water on the side. That's my noodles. I use egg noodles. Pappardelle, I think it's called. I don't know the brand. I usually go to the noodle aisle, whatever pasta aisle it is, and I go to the top shelf. The top shelf is where you're gonna see the bag pasta. The bag pasta usually has the noodles wrapped in these little circles, like little nests. Um, and I have been using those for a little bit now. I think I've from this year. I haven't always been using those. I grew up on Barilla and all the other noodle brands, Rizzoni, like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But recently, I have been using the different kind of pasta that I see on top of there, and it actually tastes really good. They're egg noodles, but they're really big. They don't break that easily, and you just cook the noodles, whatever ones you choose. You cook them per the package. Usually it's about 6 to 8 minutes to al dente. So you get the water nice and boiling. I throw like a real hefty pinch of salt. So I usually have my son put salt in there. I make him put his hand out, fill his hand up with salt, and once his hand is filled with salt, I make him put it in the water. Um, that's how I do it. So now chicken is done. I am starting on my sauce. So with my Alfredo sauce, this is homemade. I use a half stick of butter, and I get the butter completely melted before I add in the flour. The flour is the thickening agent for my sauce. This is what I've been doing for a while now. And just like how you make macaroni and cheese, except for this, I use half and half. You can, if you want to, use heavy cream. I do not. I like half and half because it makes for a creamier, way creamier sauce, in my opinion. You get the sauce, you get the seasonings. I use Kinder's garlic buttery seasoning, some salt, some garlic powder, onion powder, the usual. You don't need to season this too much because Alfredo sauce is Alfredo sauce. You know what I'm saying? It's the cheese from the Parmesan. It's the salt and the flavor from the Parmesan cheese you're going to put in there. It's going to give it its flavor as well. But you can adjust the seasonings per your liking. But that's what I used. I do not add my cheese into this sauce until it starts to bubble. You can feel it getting thicker the more and more you mix it. Now you're not gonna mix it every 3 minutes, but you want to mix it enough to where it doesn't the bottom part doesn't burn. So I just keep mixing it. You start feeling it getting a little thicker. Like, okay, this thing getting thick. All right now. But you did not. I do not add my cheese till I start seeing it bubble. Oh, okay, now it's getting thick. Now it's time for it. Because once you start adding the cheese in, that thing gonna thicken up even quicker. You're gonna be like, yeah. I think I used. I should have measured. I didn't. I'm sorry. I want to say I used about a cup and a half of shredded Parmesan cheese. You can use grated, but you know me. I go to where the fancy cheese aisle is and I get the Parmesan Reggiano. I'm probably saying that wrong. Oh well. And that's what I use. And then you can kind of adjust the half a half ratio till it gets how creamy that you want it. And once it do, you good to go. This is me recording for TikTok as I pour the sauce Instead of marinara, the Alfredo sauce on top of this chicken. Child, when I tell you this thing was hurting. Alright, and then the rest of that sauce that you have there, you will coat your noodles in. I did not show you guys that, but that's what I did. That all the rest of that's for coating my noodles in. So make sure you leave enough for your noodles. And then this is the rest of the Parmesan cheese. I throw a little bit of that on top first before I add the freshly grated mozzarella. Don't go out there and buy no bag shredded mozzarella cheese because that joints do not shred. Sorry, they don't shred. They shred fine. They don't melt how they're supposed to melt. So make sure you go buy a block of mozzarella cheese and shred it yourself. Or you can buy the big block, slice it in half, throw it on top, let it melt. And pop it in the oven on 425 for about 5 to 10 minutes until the cheese melts. And baby, you are good to go. All right, bye.